Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Scarlets Fever podcast. I am your host this week, Big M, and joining me is Mr. Flatcap himself. How are we doing, bud?
Oh, very good, mate. I have, and this is a surprise, I didn't tell you about this before. I got a new hat that my mum got me.
I got a new
So for
hat that my mum got me. That's brilliant, mate.
yes.
Love it.
Well, no, so she got it she got it. I don't know where she got it from, but then she obviously gave it to me. So don't know if you can see that.
Oh, that's cracking. I like
It's
that.
so it's a Children in Needs one, which I haven't watched in about 10 years, and it's Wales Cymru, and it's reversible. So that's the outside. That's the other side.
Ooh, oh no,
Full,
that reversible doesn't do it for me. I
full
can't deal with
T-cozy.
anything white.
For audio listeners, it's red and yellow polka dots on a white background. Only thing is, I won't bother putting it on now because I have to take my headphones and things off. It's a bit small and it gives me a headache if I wear it. But I'm keeping it anyway, and I'll whip it out at opportune moments throughout the season.
Okay, so here is new quote is I'm gonna whip it out when the moment presents itself. Got it. No, it's a strange one for you. You've gone for the beanie more than a die cap, a traditional one. So
Yeah,
no fun. So
proper
other
collection.
than that, how's your week been? But anything to take note of?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking about the things to take note of in this, aren't we? Yeah, just keeping up to date with all the rugby, watching it all. Obviously, got to keep up to date with all the scores and everything for Pirate and that. Um, yeah, no, I was playing in my dad's band again at the weekend. Did manage not to rob a pint this time, um,
Ooh.
which was a nice change of form for me. But it was in this place called Mobley in Cheshire, which is technical term well posh, and it was at the cricket club, and it was beautiful. The houses there must have cost about £1 million each. It was ridiculous. So we were just there, playing a couple of songs for someone's golden wedding anniversary. So that was a nice way to spend the weekend without misery of some of the other results. Anyway, mate, how about you? What have you been up to?
Well, I've had a pretty miserable week myself. The wife's been in hospital. She had a bit of a abdominal surgery. So, I've been stuck looking after the kids, taking care of the house. So I think everyone can imagine what the house looks like right now. I mean, I can't move more than 2 inches without tripping over something. No, and on that subject, I think some of the regular listeners will be wondering, there's a voice missing from by here. Where's Big Lee G? No, Big Lee G doesn't work. Just Lee G. Lee's not with us this week. He's feeling rather fragile. He's done his back in, so best of wishes to Lee, and hopefully he'll come through over the next few days. So you just touched on it, and I'm going to let you keep touching it. The
Are
balls.
you?
I thought you'd get on that. So come on, the balls game. What have you got to say, mate?
I was hoping you go first because I did rap on Monday. I've done Pirates. I've talked about it twice already.
Third time's the charm,
Just
mate. Come on.
maybe the third time I talk about it won't be so bad. Um, yeah, most points ever conceded in a league game by the Scarlets against the Bulls at the weekend, and it was the bonus point was wrapped up for the Bulls inside 24 minutes. There was Scarlets physios on the touchline throwing towels onto the pitch. Go, we've had enough, ref. We've had enough. But no, it kept going. Started going a bit better from about 20 minutes to half time, and then it got worse steadily from then on. It's one of those started badly, tailed off in the middle, and less said about the end, the better type of games. Just unacceptable. What kind of upsets me a little bit is just the shrug on like socials and things, just like yeah, we've got bad, like a bit of a sorry state of affairs really, because there's a record defeat. That I would hope that it would have inspired a bit more of emotion, but some people just seem to feel a bit apathetic to it really, which kind of sums it up, to be honest. Just yeah, my biggest thing is where was the preparation for this? Because we'd been in training camp for 13 weeks, solidly with the coaches, with the players. Most of that group, obviously, Kieran and Tane and a couple of other guys were away with Wales a bit, but not for the whole time. I think the most troubling thing for me is that our best player on the day, Tame Plumtree, is the one who spent the least amount of time in camp. So for me, I don't want to go all, reactionary and things on day one of the season, but I think Dwayne Peel's got to answer, got to take a little bit of stick for this in his coaching team. It's a brand new coaching team. Yes, it's the first game, and yes, it is arguably the hardest away game in the league because it's one of the best teams and it's got the altitude factor thrown in. But there's losing and there's that, and yeah, we came out on the pitch and it was boys versus men, and it was like we were shocked at how good the Bulls were going to be, and there's no excuses for it. That's the thing for me. If you go through that 15 as well, you look at the players we had on the pitch. Let's play a game of what's your excuse. Like Alex Craig in the new signing at second row. What's your excuse? You knew, okay. Sam Lashley, what's your excuse? So with Tonga a bit, okay. Dan Davis, what's your excuse? Yeah, okay, thought not. Kieran Hardy, what's your excuse? International scrum half, and don't really. Johan Lloyd, what's your excuse? Well, I'm still kind of learning to play 10. Johnny McNichol, what's your excuse? No, I don't have one. And he was dropping balls all over the place. So yeah, I'm pissed off, mate. I'm pissed off. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's an understatement for a lot of people, especially a lot of actual Scarlet fans, not just the people who are, yeah, Wales been doing good. Oh, let's have a look how the region's doing. Oh, they got smashed up. Never mind that. No, I'm very much on the same page as you. I had a lot more expectations going into this match. Like I know when we spoke about this, I said, "Oh, Scarlets will win," but I always say Scarlets will win, even if my mind, honestly doesn't believe that. I never had the scoreline as what it was, but it wasn't even close. You look at our whole setup, and generally speaking, our setup seems to work pretty well. We do get the most out of the players that we've got. The biggest disappointment has got to be the forwards. And there was a good few individual performances there. Like Kelsey Mathias, he put his hand up, lousy, considering the workload he's had and the staggered comebacks. He did all right. Tame Plumtree, he had a fairly good game as well. But overall, as a unit, they didn't work together at all. And bringing in someone like Albert Vandenberg, who is a World Cup winning lock, specializes in the forwards, loves his hot dogs. I expected a lot more, and at one point we were under Kosh at the lineout, and we went front ball with Dan Davis. Now, for those who don't know, Dan Davis is probably the smallest, forward we had on that pitch, maybe barring Sean Evans. So why are you under the Kosh, throwing a small man up at the front? It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I want to try and be positive, but at the same time, you can't get to the positive without weighing through all the negatives first, can you? I mean, I know me and you were speaking during the game, and we just didn't understand what Kieran Hardy was doing. And we said when we were ranking the squad, I said I've met the guy a couple of times. He's a good guy, but professional rugby, oh my god, you can't be doing that. He just didn't look like he wanted to be there. He was shrugging his shoulders. He was letting them come on to him in the hope that he wouldn't have to do anything.
He was so slow. I couldn't get my head around how slow he was playing. Like I stood up for him in that squad ranking video we did, and there was a couple of points where he just stopped and he just killed the attack, and it's like that's the point. If it gets to like 30 minutes and there's people on Twitter going, get Kieran Hardy off and get our unproven under 20s scrum half on in his place, and Kieran Hardy's supposed to be an international, that tells you all you need to know, really.
Exactly. Another one. I know he hasn't been involved with Wales very much recently, and he is in the tail end of his career. But Foxy John Davis, where was he? Like nothing seemed to work with him there. We actually started looking to have a bit more synergy when he left the pitch. these players, these experienced players who are supposed to help guide you through these games, through these difficult, like I said, Bulls is probably the hardest game in the entire season, especially considering, we're without most of our internationals. I mean, they lose a handful of internationals, and they've got probably two handfuls of internationals waiting in the wings to come in. That's just the strength and depth that this team has, and they are a physical side. And we knew that going into the game. We knew it last season at home when I have to say somehow now because I don't understand how we did, when we somehow got the win, and we knew with the season before when they put another massive thumping on us.
Yes.
So we knew what we were going to expect. We knew what to expect, and we did not prepare well for it at all. And I've seen a lot of people on social media, making comments like, "Oh, we had the only reason our season went well last year was because of a new coach has disappeared." And yeah, I'll admit, Lee Blackett done a good job when he was here, but I don't believe it was all him. But it's now we've got to prove that, which is
Exactly.
going to be even harder after that. I don't even want to call it a result. I don't know what to call it. That's how bad it was for me. So if we talk about positives, is there anything you can pick out in that game that you were happy with?
I found one positive, and it took some digging, but I found it. So I wanted to look up, how often do we get thumped? Because it feels like we get thumped every other week. Now, first place I looked for our results was the Scarlets website, and this is in danger of turning into a weekly bit. Hugh's problem with the Scarlets website. So it's got the results for this season, and then it says select season. So I selected last season, and it showed me this season, and I selected the season before, and it showed me this season. So that page of the Scarlets website is another one that doesn't work. But so I went on a different website, and I found that since the start of 2022, we have gotten 40 plus points put on us 7 times, and we've got 30 plus points put on us 15 times. So when you consider, 18 games in the regular season plus, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 European games, 25 games a season, 15 times to be taking that kind of scoreline is too much. Is too often. It's like more than one in 3 games. We're getting 30 points put on us. It's just ridiculous. And in terms of conceding fewer points, like keeping teams to less than 20 points scored against us, we've only done that 12 times in that same time span. So we're more likely to get 30 plus point on us than less than 20, which kind of sums us up really. Like optional defense. At the beginning of last season, we had 30 points put on us in 7 of the first 9 games. And funny enough, the 2 games that we didn't get put 30 points on us was the Ospreys in Cardiff, and we didn't win either of those games either. So we scored even less.
Yeah, 23 all and 16-10. I was at both them games. My boy was actually mascot for the Cardiff one. So, but that's one to forget.
Yeah. All right. So you're thinking, Hugh, I thought you said you found a positive. Yes, I did. So I had a couple of Ospreys fans tell me with delight that although this weekend just gone was bad, it wasn't our record defeat. Our record defeat is the 60 points to 17 match against them a few years ago. But that's not true. It's not, unlike Ospreys fans to make things up, I know, but our biggest ever defeat in terms of points conceded is the weekend just gone. Our biggest ever defeat in terms of losing margin was the Bulls last time we were out in South Africa. That was 57 points to 12, so it was a losing margin of 45, which means that 60-point defeat in Swansea to the Ospreys is now meaningless, is nothing. There's no record attached to it. So thank you to the Bulls for ridding us of that particular little hoodoo. But yeah, I mean, it's 2 years before we've got to play the Bulls away again. That's the positive.
Yeah, and you can't argue with that. In terms of positives, like I said already once, there was a few individual performances that, okay, they weren't complete, but they did enough to make us think that there are positive times ahead. Tom Rogers, I thought he played decently. He didn't have a bad game, same as Joe Roberts. And this was Joe's first game back. He hasn't trained at all. He hasn't trained at all with the Scarlets team. The whole new coaching setup came in. He was away with Wales. He got injured with Wales, and now he's come back in this game. So he's literally had maybe 3 or 4 days. He's probably only trained a couple of days before getting on the plane and a couple of days there. So for him to even be on the pitch and put in a shift like that is remarkable. And I think hats off to the young man. Now, with our younger boys, there's no beating about the bush. We have got a lot of young boys who are going to get game time this year. And the first one I'm going to talk about is Ben Williams. Only his second appearance, in a Scarlets jersey. He hasn't come through the traditional method of becoming an elite player. He wasn't selected for any of the county squads, wasn't selected in any academies at first attempt. And now he's gone to South Africa with a professional outfit and started number 8. And while I can't see him making that number 8 jersey his this season, based off that performance, there was a lot of what I saw that I was impressed with. There seems to be a lot of dog in the boy. He doesn't give up. He constantly runs. And, having a small number 8, you have to balance it elsewhere. And I didn't see that balance in our back row, which was a bit of an issue. Another youngster is someone who we've already touched on, Archie Hughes. I mean, I think everyone down west has been raving about him for a good while now. And when he came on this pitch, he did pick up the tempo a bit. And I think the most important part, which is going to be the same as another player I'm about to touch on, his defense. He went after every single tackle. He made them with confidence. He didn't shy away. This is a small boy. He's something like 5'7", 75 kilos. He's not in any way a big scrum half. Like he'd be probably called a minute scrum half because of his sheer size. And his work ethic in defence was something to be admired because he didn't stop. And onto another young boy was his first game for us, Charlie Titcombe. This isn't just this boy's first game with us. This is this boy's first game of professional rugby. He's come from Loughrea. He's come straight from university. And because of injuries to Dan Jones-Dinky and, Sammy Costello being with Wales, he's just been shot right into this 23. And it's going to be the same again this week. We have no choice. But fair play to the lad. He stood up. He hit everything that came at him. And, he can be very proud of his performance.
Yeah, it's a good crop of 10s we've got at the moment. I think there's a bit of everything there. What did you make of the starting 10? Johan Lloyd's first competitive game in his Scarlets shirt. I thought at times he looked quite ragged, especially offset plays. What did you make of him?
Yeah, I'd put him as a rating. I'd say average to okay. I was expecting more from him, but I think that's from seeing some of his best times with Bristol and thinking he's going to come in and replicate that straight away, which, it's obviously not the case. I can't even count on one hand how many times he started at 10 for Bristol. So even though he has gone through that in his career, his younger days playing 10, it's a different kettle of fish, moving from 12, 15 wing into 10 in a professional environment. And I'm expecting him to, not have a kick up the arse, but, basically have a rocket fired up him to say, look, I'm better than this. And I'm hoping to see that this week.
Yeah.
Overall, Johan Lloyd, I was really happy when we signed him. I'm still happy that he's here. I'm just hoping to see who he really is as a 10. And I think when he finally fires, we're going to have an outstanding pair of 10s that are probably going to be millimeters away from each other.
Yeah, he kicked his goals well as well, which I wasn't necessarily expecting, but a couple of touchline conversions that he nailed.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. If you don't kick your goals, then what's the point in having you as a 10? Like it's not as though we have the recently retired Lee Halfpenny to slot
Yeah,
goals for us anymore.
yeah.
But
Well, forgot that we could have spoken about him as well. Maybe we'll touch on Lee Offeney a little bit more at the end.
yeah.
But yeah, okay. So you mentioned Ben Williams there. What does it say for Carwyn Tuipulotu then that Ben Williams has started ahead of him in this game?
I think it's just a case of this is a team game, and I want that sort of culture instilled into the Scarlets, that it doesn't matter what number is on your back, it doesn't matter what number is on your best mates, your rivals' back. You are all there for the team, and that's all that matters. With Carwyn, like I just touched on Ben Williams, they are totally different players, and I think Carwyn should have probably started against this game because he is obviously the more physical player. I mean, he's probably got about 20, maybe 30 kilos on Ben Williams, and Ben isn't exactly a small player either. So I don't think he can be too disheartened by it. He was in the 23. He knew he was going to be in the 23 flying down. So it's just a case of, you know, this is what the team needs. This is what we thought the team needed, actually. And this is the way to go forward. And I hope that is the way that he's taken it.
Yeah. Speaking of numbers on his back, challenge for you, mate, and being the man in the know. Why has he always got 25 on his back? I
Well, the thing is, I don't think
because
I've ever seen him with a number 25 on his back. So that's a
I,
weird one. I've seen him with
I
28.
have. No, well, yeah. Okay, so that's it. So I've seen him with numbers bigger than 23 multiple times,
Yeah.
but he should be wearing the number 20. And I don't believe for a second that there's no number 20 jersey that doesn't fit him. So yeah, that's a challenge for you to figure that one out. What's going on with that?
Yeah, maybe I'll stick a few feelers out there, see if the Scarlets are willing to speak to us. You know, that's a sour subject that I don't want to get into. I want to say positive. So okay, that's done. That's in the past. Let's get rid of it. Throw it away. Lock it away. You've got rid of the Ospreys on our record books, so well done. This weekend, onto the Stormers, a different task, but not much of a drop in challenge.
No, definitely not. Obviously, back-to-back finalists, champions in the first season in the URC, missing a couple of players, like everybody is, away at the World Cup with the Box. Cape Town, so no altitudes to contend with. Obviously, last time we played them out there, it was a defeat, but that's not remarkable because most teams, not just Welsh regions, lose when they go down to South Africa, but not so bad as this one. So in our last two games against the Bulls away, we've conceded 120 points in two games. But Stormers, it was more a normal defeat, if there is such a thing, a normal sort of scoreline. So I don't know. I think that's kind of the best that we can be hoping for, really. I don't know about you, mate.
Well, I'm going to take that negativity. I'm going to flip this on his head, and I'm going to go, full throttle. Scarlets are the best team in the URC. We're going to win everything from this point on. We've had our only loss of the season. It will remain our only loss. But no, it is going to be a difficult game. I think we do have the 23 that could, if they turn up, if they play to their game plan well, they can do the job. They can get the win. It's picking the right players in the right positions. And we've spoken previously about Wyn Jones making a move of a tight head, and the style of player that Sam Wainwright did. Like I know I made a bit of a jip against Sam in the player ratings, but all in all, I think we've got the players that if we put them in now, we put them in the combinations we want to see them in, they can develop together. Because I would really love to see Matthias, obviously he's not with us right now, Ryan Elias and Harry O'Connor have an extended run in the team together. I think that would be a very powerful front row for a good 3-4 seasons. It's the same as moving into lock now for this week. even though he's a little bit small as a lock, and you might call him underpowered. I'd probably like to see Tane Plumtree move in. I'd like to see Lousy and Plumtree together, just to
Mhm.
get an idea of what that could be like, and at the same time open up the back row for someone like Josh McLeod, who is in South Africa. So if he's not fit, he's got to be really, really close. So I'm expecting that he is available. So if we
So
could,
just on Plumtree's availability, this is a bit of a confusion on Rap because I think the players are going into Wales' camp this weekend. So I think Plumtree and Hardy are flying back, so they're not going to be available.
that can't be right. We've gone with 28 players. I mean, I know that the boys, based in Wales, Scarlets, Cardiff. I don't know where the Ospreys are. Not Scarlets, Cardiff Dragons. I always forget them. I don't know why. But if they're in Wales and they've got access to their full squad, then okay, I think the WIU can push their power a bit. But for us, we've only taken 28 players out there. Are you really going to take another 3 players? Tom Rogers as well is in there. You take 3 players,
Oh
and
shit, yeah.
we've got a 25-man squad against the Stormers, and we haven't exactly chosen our 25-man squad because you cherry picked 3 of our players. So I'm really hoping that there's some common sense there for us, and that really doesn't happen because you talk about shit creek though. The Cardiff game with the Barbars, that was shit creek. This will be about another 50 miles up. You can't do that to one of your own teams. But this is the WIU, so who knows?
Yeah, the WRU stance is it's the Scarlets' fault for having a game.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know. So if we're saying then Matthias, and then it'll have to be Sean Evans at hooker, and
yeah.
then you'd go O'Connor at tight end, and then Lousy, and then I guess if Plumtree isn't available, it has to be Lousy, Craig,
Again, yeah,
and then a back 3 of Dan Davis keeps his spot for me, and
yeah.
then McLeod in at 6, and then would you go Carwin or Ben at 8?
I'd bring Carwin straight back in, just because it was a bit of a hammering for Ben. And
Yeah,
he's a young boy. I'd want to make sure that he's all right mentally before we put him out into another game. If
yeah.
he's fine, then I wouldn't have no I'd have no reservations about putting him straight in. But not knowing the exact situation, I'd be more comfortable putting Carwin in there.
Okay, and then it would be if Hardy's well, I don't know. Even if Hardy was available, would you give Hardy another run, or would you put Archie in?
Oh, I'd stick Archie straight away. Me and Lee spoke about this many times last year. We touched on it briefly doing the squad rating. We need to get a better name for that as well because squad rating doesn't live up to the format that you developed, does
The
it?
tier list. The tier list.
The tier list. No, Hardy has got a real problem when he wears the number 9 shirt for Scarlets. Wears a 21 fine, but the number 9 he struggles with so much. So if he is here, I'm sticking Archie straight in. Let's see the boy. Let's give him a chance.
Yeah, I want to see Evan Jones as well. I've got a good feeling about him, so I'd like to see. Is he down in South Africa? He must be.
I'm not sure, but I don't think so. Which would be the sad thing, especially if this whole Wales players going back is true.
Yeah. All right then, and then stick with Lloyd at 10.
Yeah, you got to. Like I said, young man finding his feet. You got to give him the opportunity. He's got a few
Yeah,
games with it before Sammy comes back anyway, so
yeah,
we know he's better than this. He knows he's better than this. Let's see him do something.
yeah. And then would you keep the centres the same? I guess the only option that we've got would be to bring Nicholas in.
There is another option, and it's an outside bet because when I've gone through, the social media profiles, looking at all the pictures, looking at the team sheets from the weekend with the Drovers and Carmarthen, etc., I haven't seen Eddie James's name anywhere. So
Right.
I'm thinking he could potentially be down there, and that would suit with the way the squad is made up. Not that I would put him in there. I would go for Yohan at 12, Roberts at 13. But Eddie being
So
there,
no
that
Foxy.
no, No, his experience is supposed to count for something. It didn't this weekend, and he's at a point in his career where if he gets emotional or he can't handle being dropped, then that really is the game over.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. So obviously Joe keeps his place. Joe was chasing shadows of the weekend. I couldn't really blame him for anything because the breaks were happening. It wasn't against set defenses. They weren't breaking through. They were turning over and just running past boys. So I don't think you can criticize Joe's defense too much. And we know he's probably the best 13 in Wales.
Probably.
Back three, yeah, probably. Back three, again, there's not much options of anything to make. If you're playing Nicholas in the centre, then you're going to have to keep as close to the same back three as possible. I thought J Mac had a really, really poor game against the Bulls, just like dropping everything. Again, it's just kind of unexplainable, like unforced errors from him over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, if we go back 6 months' time, I didn't expect to see Johnny McNichol with us this season. And I don't mean that as a way of I don't want him here. He's a brilliant player. I'd love for him to be here if he's 100% firing on form. But when he first signed for us, he came over with the intention of playing in the World Cup for Wales. He made no buts about that from the off. And the fact is that this would have been his last chance to go to a World Cup for Wales. I didn't expect him to have a contract past it. So I'm happy he's here. He had probably his worst game in a Scarlets jersey, I think, because I can't visually see another game where he did drop so many balls, like you said, quite a few, poor decisions going forward and in defence. Which, okay, he's not exactly the best defensive fullback in the world, but he doesn't make basic errors, which he did.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that. Sorry, go on, mate.
Sorry, but I'm still pausing. I'm half asleep myself, but thinking about this game is it's really putting me down. It's knocking me out. No, I don't think we have any options in the back three. Like I've already said, Eddie James, he does have winger's pace. We could put him out there, but if Combier, Rogers, and McNichol are all there, fit and available, which I'm assuming they are, they've got to keep their places.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think Combe was another one who had a decent game. I think every time he did get the ball, he was making meters and he was going past players. So I think he 100% deserves to keep his place. So I don't know. Do you want to do your prediction now of what you think the score will be?
Oh, it's going to be a lovely weekend for us. We're going to banish the demons from Pretoria. I want to say Pretoria.
Cape Town.
Close enough. No, I'm going to banish those demons and we're going to come back to Wales, heads held high, with 5 points on the table. We're going to get a nice bonus point win. I think we're going to do it by 5 points.
Okay, I don't think that. I think we'll get a losing bonus, and because it was one of the annoying things last game. Because we nearly got a losing bonus last weekend, but like last play of the game, we had a driving wall. Dan Davis had at the back of it and just dropped it.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm going to correct you, but here we nearly got a try bonus point.
That's what I said, isn't it?
Losing, you said.
Oh, sorry. I thought I said try. I meant try.
You're a tier 2 man. You should be used to these losing BPs by now.
Yeah, I know. Right. Okay. I think we're going to get a try bonus. And I think we'll probably lose by 11, something like that.
That wouldn't be the worst result in the world. I think most people would take that.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be one of those where they pull out a lead and then we come back in the second half. A bit like the Ospreys against Connor we've just gone.
Yeah.
Speaking of that then, let's just pause speaking about the Scarlets for a moment and just 20 years of regional rugby. It was the anniversary of the weekend just gone, and all 4 regions lost. Now, obviously, with Cardiff, you can excuse them apart from it. Did you see Cardiff's red card?
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
How can you do that? It's just Why?
It's one of the worst tackles I've ever seen in my life.
That weren't a
And
tackle. It really weren't a tackle.
yeah, it's shocking. Anyway, so you can kind of let Cardiff off because of all the crap they've been through over the summer. Dragons doing as Dragons do, like losing a game they should win against a reasonably average opposition. I don't get why. I've said this on a couple of pods now. I don't get why Ospreys fans are so positive about their one bonus point in Connacht. The Ospreys team on paper is good, and they were 27 points down in the first half an hour.
Yes. Ospreys have always had that I don't know what to say, but that thing about them. They've always seems to got a good squad on paper. And, even going back to the Galacticos days, the squad never performed when it mattered. I mean, how many European semi-finals did they get? All right, they won a few league titles, but that's is in 3 years, Connacht, us, Leinster, three different teams winning it. That tells you that the league is very winnable.
With the playoff system, it is, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we haven't touched. Did we touch on the Dragons then? No, don't worry about them. We'll forget
Don't worry
them.
about them.
No, don't worry about them. But if we go back to 20 years when the regional rugby first formed, I wasn't living in Llanelli back then. I was I was a wee 12-year-old boy, and the first region I actually went to watch was my local at the time, which was the Celtic Warriors. So no,
If there's any listeners who are listening who've never heard of the Celtic Warriors, there's a reason for that.
yeah,
So where were they? They were Bridgend, weren't they? They played
end
out
up
of
on the
Bridgend.
freeze.
Yeah,
It
and
started it started as both, and then Ponty didn't have the money to sustain it. So what was his name? Leighton Samuel, I want to say. I just got bad energy when I say that name. Bought them out, moved all the games to Bridgend and the Brody Field. Coincidentally, Brody Field, lovely ground. You haven't been there, get down. You get a really good atmosphere if you got a few thousand in there. And then at the end of the year, you just said, you know what, I don't want to put my money into this. Bye bye.
yeah, so I think they lasted about 2 seasons. It's where Ryan Jones originally came from. But yeah, ooh,
One
yes,
season.
1 season.
Yeah.
There was also 3 Scottish teams back then as well.
I
There was the
know,
Borderers.
Borders. I love the Borders. The way they played, it was brilliant. Oh, Christ,
Yeah.
you can go back and reminisce about a lot of these teams that disappeared. I mean,
And
the
there
Italian
was another.
Airpony.
Yeah, I was about to say that. What was that Italian team? What were they called? Arioli or something like
Whoa, I need to cover up here, but
that.
no, there have been quite a few teams that have disappeared, and I think it's the same now in all leagues across the world, bar than the
Yeah.
French.
Do you know?
English teams have been disappearing.
Yeah. Well, you know Calvisano,
Yeah,
the Italian team. They've gone.
well, completely.
Then, yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. I thought they were still like in the sort of semi-pro Italian league because I'm sure
Yeah, they were.
they
Yeah.
were in
So
the
it's called
Challenge
the.
Cup not so long ago, were they?
Here's one for you, Mark. The Italian. This is completely off topic. Scarlet supporters, you can tune out now. Um, the the um the Italian version of like the Premiership, like the one below their regional sides, is called the Top 10. How many teams are in it?
9.
Correct.
Yes. Oh, I knew I'd get that right.
I
No,
think it might
it's
be 8 now because Calvisano withdrew
yeah.
and
Well,
they're gone.
it's the same as when we were the Pro 16, but we didn't have the Kings or the Cheetahs. You know,
Yeah.
it's some really really weird stuff going on. But no, we did start this going back to the beginning of regional rugby. So why did you bring it up, mate? Come on, tell me what do you want to talk about?
I just wanted to get your thoughts really on the status of it because I do think I kind of agree with Lee, the point Lee was making the other week. I do think that some people are being overly overplaying our demise. Like I know that sounds mental, just coming off the back of a record defeat. But obviously Cardiff have had a really tough situation. But I think the other three, including us, Dragons and Ospreys, aren't as bad as people are trying to paint out. Our squads aren't as bad as people are trying to paint out. I don't know. What do you think, mate?
No, overall, I think our squads, like I said about the Ospreys on paper, they are pretty good. You can get a good solid 23. You can probably get about 30 if you include in the senior academy and what you're expecting they're going to be, in a few years' time. You can probably get about 30, 35 players in there that are really top guys. They can play at this level and European level pretty comfortably. The problem is, we can't play all them guys to fast track them for starters. And then in a year or two, when one gets any good and a bit of money comes from wherever, we got no hopes of retaining them.
Yeah. I mean, the 25 cap rule is still in place. So someone like Sam or trying to think who else might be in it, like Kelmsley or Tom Rogers, will have to stick around for a good while yet. But with the number of international games, there might only be 3 seasons before it takes them to get 25 caps. Particularly Sam. He's going to be on 4 by the time the Barbars game comes around. Oh no, he's going to be on 7 by the time the Barbar game comes round. And then he's probably going to play, if he's fit, in most of the Six Nations games. So he's going to be halfway to the 25 cap rule already.
Yeah. It's scary. I mean, I've never agreed with the cap rule. I understood it. Like, I get why you want to keep your players here. I get why you want to have better access to them. But for me, it undermines the game in the sense of we're keeping, 32-year-old players here just because they need X amount of caps, and we're stopping these 21, 22-year-olds getting the game time that they would have if this person buggered off for 2 years and then came back. I think Stephen Jones and Jonathan Davis both went to Clermont. They both went at really good times because we had younger guys here who were ready to push. And, when they went off, they had that opportunity. Okay, it didn't work out as well as we'd hoped. Like when Foxy went, we thought Steph Hughes was going to be the next big thing, a couple of injuries. And with Stephen Jones, it was the start of Reece Priestland's development.
Yeah,
so
yeah, absolutely.
You can see the benefit of letting these players go abroad. We're not saying let them go abroad and play their entire careers there. Let them have the couple seasons, experience something different, come back a more rounded, a more well-informed, a better rugby knowledge in their brain. Bring that back into the club because that will benefit everybody.
Yeah. I mean, New Zealand do a sabbatical system so that they only pick players who are based in New Zealand, but you're allowed 1 year to go and get your big money. Normally is in Japan because Japan's like the level of the Japanese league is quite low anyway, because you see all the clips and you see like South African locks who've gone there for a big payday, like running 80 meters going past all the Japanese players. So I don't know, maybe we need to look at something like that. But I think if you've got a world-class player, like say Foxy in his prime had gone to Claremont and it had worked because he got to a Champions Cup final with them, didn't he?
Yeah.
Say he'd won the Champions Cup and then it all went well and he won multiple Champions Cup and was contending for top 14 titles every year. Who's to say who are we to deny him that, especially if he's getting paid a bucket load.
Yeah, no, and we still getting him for when we need it. I mean, this player agreement, to let Wales have our boys a week earlier in there. It's literally just a handful of weeks throughout the entire season. Like I said, I understand the reasoning, but if a player is that good, they shouldn't need that extra week to get up to speed. So it should be a non-starter.
Well, yeah, I guess it depends, on the thing that the reason Gats wants that extra week is because he feels like he needs to beast the players because he said they don't come from the regions fit enough to play international rugby, so he has to beast them in the gym. Anyway,
don't start me on that stupid fitness bloody motif. It's all a bunch of bloody lies. It's always been the same. They come back to the region so much fitter. Yeah, that's why they struggle to get back into the 15. They can't acclimatize back to their own team. Come on.
Anyway, let's move on from that then. So there's two more topics I want to touch before we finish. So let's just quickly touch on Llandovery and Carmarthen. So
Yes, yes, I like.
fun.
This is the stuff I like. I like talking about Llandovery and sometimes Carmarthen because they haven't had a very good go in as of late,
No,
have they?
so let's talk about Carmarthen first. So Carmarthen lost to Newport at the weekend, was it?
Yeah, Newport.
Yeah. So just like Carmarthen haven't only won one game so far, and I think that was against it was either Neath or Swansea in
Neath,
the
Neath
yeah Neath are
14,
bottom.
1449, if I got it right.
Yeah, so Neath are rock bottom, I think, at the moment. But
Yeah,
Carmarthen's start, they've played Llandovery, Pontypool, and Newport, and they're the top three of the top four. Vale are currently top. Um, so it's been a tough start to the season. I think it's the game against they lost. I think it was 11 points to 12. They lost against Bridgend. That
11,
I think that'll
24.
be that'll be the one that they'll regret. So I don't know. I didn't catch much of the Newport game, mate. I don't. Do you think they'll be disappointed with it?
Yeah, they will be disappointed. I mean, they were opportunities in that game. Like, don't get me wrong, Newport are a good outfit. They came into this game on a they well, let me have a look at their record right now. They've only lost once in the league, so that tells you where they are. And they had a bit of a bounce. They lost two of the last three games before coming into this match with Carmarthen. So it was a real opportunity for the Quins to kickstart their season again. Because even though they lost quite comprehensively against Llandovery in that opening game, it was a really good performance. They did their job and they were never expected to win that game, even though it's a derby, even though there's a million reasons to say you should never accept defeat. The sides that are better than you, and
Yeah.
when it's time for you to compete. And yeah, there was a couple of quick scores late on in that game that leveled the score, but overall, their actual performance was really strong, and that's something Carmarthen Quins can be proud of. So this Newport game, it did go amiss. 26-34. It's a close scoreline. So they will be disappointed. They could have easily won that game. A couple of decisions here and there, and it's totally flipped on its head. Carmarthen got their second league win of the season. And let's have a look. Where would that have put them? They would not be, I want to say, 11th as they are right now. They would be happily in 10th. Cool.
Yeah. So that's Carmarthen then. What about Llandovery? They beat RGC. RGC really having a tough season as well. I think they've only won one game. But yeah, good. I think it was a decent scoreline that Llandovery put on them. It's something like 40-ish.
Yeah, it was a hefty scoreline. It was 50 points to 19. I always feel for RGC. I know they have some finances in with them, but at the same time, every single away game they're traveling, and it's gotta be hard on them. I'm gonna focus more on Llandovery now, and they basically just opened the floodgates. They ran in quite a few tries for fun. They broke down RGC. They done their job, and there's no more I can say about this Llandovery team, barring that loss away to Vale, which arguably they should have won. I still believe that game was theirs. This game felt more like a training ground run.
Mm.
Tommy Lewis picking up a hat trick. You know, absolutely brilliant for us as Scarlets. Yeah, one of our whole players is actually scoring tries. I'm happy with that, and he did it from 15 as well. That's
I
not something
saw
I
that. Yeah, he was
expected.
playing from 15.
I didn't expect him to be playing much rugby at 15. So who knows what that means for him and the Scarlets. But overall, cracking win for Llandovery. Feel it for RGC, but it's always going to be the same with them. And Carmarthen Quins, well, they got Swansea at home next time round,
Okay.
so
Winnable, very winnable.
very, very winnable. I don't want to say it like that now that they're going to lose.
Well, fingers crossed for them. Fingers crossed. Okay, mate. Last topic then to talk about before we finish. Scarlets legends. Lee Halfpenny has decided that he's not going to play for Wales anymore, which is probably something I think a lot of us saw come in. He is going to continue his club career, and he's going to reveal who he's going to play for in due course. So he's got a contract sorted by the sounds of it. My bet is either Super Rugby or Major League Rugby in America. I don't think he's going to go to Japan purely on the fact that Japan have got quite strict rules about how many foreign players they're allowed, and I think most of their teams are at that limit already. But we'll see. I could be completely wrong, and if I am wrong, there you go. But so I know he's always wanted to do Super Rugby, so I'm going to predict that he's going to go to Super Rugby. The Waratahs love to give contracts to past it internationals from the Northern Hemisphere, so probably them, I'd say. Anyway,
Hey, leave the Tars
What?
alone. They're
You
my
like the
awesome
Waratahs?
team. Leave them be. Leave them be. New South
Yeah,
Wales, mate. Come on.
oh yeah, true. Jamie Roberts played for them before he retired. Right. What's your favourite Lee Halfpenny memory in a Wales jersey, mate?
Um, I can't remember the exact date, and it's not actually a positive memory.
Oh, come
But
on. Try
on
and be
Wales.
positive.
No, I can't because one of the reasons I like the Waratahs so much, not just the New South Wales, is that back in 2008, the Junior World Cup was in Wales. It was when Lee Halfpenny, Foxy, Bigger were all coming through. And there was this guy for Australia that was coming through at the same time. And I just loved watching him play, Curtly Beale. I
Curtly
I
Beale.
loved it. Yeah, I loved everything about the way he played. And, my favourite moment has got to be Lee Halfpenny knocking himself out as Curtly Beale goes over to beat us in the last minute in a November international.
Mark, that's such a crap choice of your favourite Lee Halfpenny memory. What, I'm getting
Because,
knocked out by Curtly Beale?
hey, it is what it is. Like I said, I met Lee Halfpenny a few times. I was working in a snooker club at the time, and I thought he was a lot bigger than what he was. I think his stats had him down at like 6'2" or something at the time. And
Lee
I
Halfpenny, no.
no,
He's always been, yeah.
I know, but I think it was back in his Cardiff days now. And he came in. I think he's with Scott Andrews and Bradley Davis, so you can imagine the size difference for there.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at him. I thought you were a lot bigger than this. And he looked relatively tiny. But no, I could put that as my favourite moment. How about that? Is that better for you? I met him in a snooker club.
I suppose that's a nice Lee Halfpenny memory. I mean, he was my favourite player, and he has been for basically since he burst onto the scene. As you know, you can divide his career up into sort of eras. You got when he was a winger with Cardiff, and then his move to fullback, and then there was the Toulon years, and then you got the Scarlets years, obviously latterly. I got so many positive memories of him. I'm not sure I can pick a favourite. I mean, I remember him obviously running in all those tries as a winger in the early days, when he was electric speed, and then he got a few injuries and he bulked up and he
Ooh,
lost his pace.
did he score a try in that Cardiff semi-final against Leicester, where Ben Blake kicked 2 touchline conversions for the? It ended up in a dropout contest.
He may have done. He may well have done. He scored a try in the EFL Cup victory against Gloucester, and can tell you that.
But that's it.
Okay, right. Finally found a good one. One of him doing something good on a rugby pitch. I don't know. My favourite memories, I guess, would be him on the Lions tour in 2013 when he was head and shoulders the best player. Although Foxy was very good on that tour as well. But yeah, Lee Halfpenny was at that time, at that sort of era, probably the best fullback in the world, and has probably peaked as high as any Welsh player has peaked. Obviously, he had a terrible luck with injuries, and from 2015 onwards, he kind of was struggling with that all the time, and then he had his concussions as well. But yeah, that's probably my top memory, and I hope he gets a good send off in the Barbarians game, because now I've got a reason to watch the Barbarians game, just to say goodbye to him.
Yeah, and you've also got another reason to watch the MLR when he lines up for Miami.
Miami, you reckon?
Yeah,
Miami
that.
Dolphins, I think they're called. Is it the Dolphins?
I
No,
don't know.
Sharks.
All I know
Oh.
is a couple of Welsh boys have ended up over there, so I'm gonna stick
Rob
my neck
Evans is
out and
there,
say
isn't
he's
he?
following suit.
Rob Evans is out there, isn't he? Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
Miami Sharks. Yeah, they've got a shark. They call them Miami Sharks. They got shark on their logo, and the shark is hitting a rugby ball with his tail in the logo.
Oh, that's marketing for you. It's got to be done, haven't it?
It's got to be done. Anyway, mate, I think we'll call it a pod there.
Yeah.
Like I said, the less said about the actual game, the better. Hopefully, we've got something a bit more to get our teeth into next week.
Yeah, it's been quite a low mood, this one has, and I'm going to apologise on behalf of myself and all the other scholars out there. If you listen to this and you feel quite depressed, you can happily blame who. So no, it's been a pleasure talking to you, mate. Let's hope we have something.
To all the Ospreys and Dragons fans who tuned in to drink our tears and laugh at us.
Yeah, thanks for the views, mate.
I can't even say thanks for the views, thanks for the interaction. Leave a comment and share the video about how miserable we are.
Yeah, no, this is what it is. It's bad saying that I'm stuck saying. Hopefully no longer after this weekend, but it's always a pleasure talking with you, mate. And I hope we got something positive to talk about next week.
Same here, mate. Always a pleasure. Cheers, boy. Bye.